invite everyone to take the prayer, please. Master of all worlds, highest power, merciful parent of compassion, in your presence, eternal one, source of strength for us as you have been for our ancestors, we very humbly
acknowledge you. What are we?
What is our life? You have done such great kindness to us. Therefore, we place our appeals before you, so that you may forgive and absolve us of all our faults and failures. Let our faults never become barriers between us and you. And may it be your desire
to prepare our hearts to feel awe and love for you.
You listen to
these words of ours.
You open
our encumbered hearts through the
mysteries of your Torah. May this our study
be a source of pleasure before your throne of glory. Incense.
May you shower down
upon us the light of our soul's force.
All the ways
by which we define ourselves.
May the sparks of
your holy servants, whom you have revealed these words to the world, shine and sparkle.
May their
merit, their ancestors' merit, and the merit of their Torah, their innocence and their holiness stand for us, so as to prevent us from stumbling when we study these words.
Their merit,
our eyes be illumined by what we study.
The sayings of
Israel.
Open my eyes
that I may gaze into the wonders of your Torah. May the words of my mouth and the
thoughts of my heart be acceptable to you, my rock and my redeemer. For it is the eternal who grants wisdom. It is from
his mouth that knowledge and understanding issue forth.
Na 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 na. Ah na na na. Na 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 na. Oh na na na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na na na. Na 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 na. Ah na na na. Ah na 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 na. Na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Ah na 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 na. Oh na na na. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. And
You're muted.
We can't hear you, Rabbi.
You're muted.
all right. It's amazing. I just said the most profound thing I've ever said in my whole life, and it was all on mute, and I forgot exactly what I said, and now it's completely lost forever. What are we gonna do? All right.
Well, at least you sounded like McConaughey. Is that the name of the actor? All right, you said.
No, I don't know. Who is that?
What's his name, the actor?
I don't know. What actor?
Matthew
The Texas
McConaughey.
actor? McConaughey?
Matthew McConaughey. All right.
All right, he says. All right.
Okay. I don't know who that is, but okay, I'll take that. I'll take it. What can I say? Okay, so we were at the top of page 396. We finished the idea that when a person asks God to take note of them, we shouldn't just say take note of me, because taking note could also be not so good. God can take note of some of the things that we wouldn't be so happy to admit to. So we have to say, Zochreinu Hashem l'tova, Fokdeinu vo livracha. What we say, for instance, in Ya'aleh v'yavo for Rosh Chodesh, right? Take note of us, but for goodness, for blessing. You have to say that, please, the positive side. And the other thing that we ended up with is that we should try to be able to say, "B'sochami ani yosheves," right? What the Shunammite said to Elisha, that when he said, "Can I say anything for you? Can I intercede with God on your behalf?" And she says, "I'm fine. I'm just one of many. I'm part of a community. I'm with my people, and I'm content to be part of my people." So this is, as we mentioned last time, this is part of the idea that all of our prayers are couched in the plural, and we include ourselves within the greater collectivity. And the halacha says that Rambam, for instance, when he has in his Hilchot Tfilah, his laws of prayer, he says, Tfilat hatzibur nishma'at tamid, that the prayer of the congregation, of the collective, is always listened to. So he says, therefore, a person should always knock themselves out to go and daven with a community. And even if you can't make it to daven with the community, synchronize your time of prayer to be at the same time that you know that the community is praying. So virtually, so to speak, this is like the first the proto Zoom concept, that synchronize yourself so that you can feel that you're joining with everybody else's prayers at the same time. And the concept that he talks about is Tfilat HaTzibur. That's why make it my business when we have our traditional davening. The English way of referring to Chazarat Hashatz is, and now we'll have the repetition of the Amidah, which is an inadequate description of what it is. It's not simply because we want to repeat the Amidah. It's because of the Rambam's. We want to have now the prayer of the community, Tfilat Hatzibur. Tfilat Bitzibur, the individual prays within a community. Tfilat Hatzibur, the prayer of the community as a community. So, and of course, that kind of prayer is capable of so much more than what the individual prayer can do, which often in our very individualistic, almost solipsistic culture is a little, counterintuitive. But it's of course assuming that the community is actually praying and not just going through the motions. Okay. So now Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda, this is after the little break.
Where are you?
396.
Okay.
Good. All right. Who's going to read for us tonight? I wonder if there's anybody. Okay. Beryl, we'll let you read tonight.
Okay. Are we starting with Rabbi Yehuda? We read the part before.
We did, as far as I know. No, we didn't.
I made a little note that says 310:22, and I put it right next to the word king after the first line on that page.
All right. So good. So let's read that what I just gave the discussion of it, but let's read the text. Good. What is written?
What is written? She replied, I dwell among my own people. What was she saying? I don't want to be designated above, but rather to include myself in the multitude and not exclude myself from their entirety. Similarly, one should merge in totality of multitude and not isolate himself so they won't notice him, reciting his sins, as we have said.
Right. So this is both a positive value and also a good strategy, right? If you mix in with the crowd, then you won't get noticed specifically for whatever shortcomings you may be guilty of. So it's good to be, just lose yourself in the crowd, so to speak, right? But the other part of it is the idea of merging, to merge oneself with the crowd. So it chalala bichlala tesagiin, right? To be included within the mass of the many. Right? Okay, so that's what she said she was content to be, and therefore she didn't need any special pleading by the prophet on her behalf. Of course, in the end, there's that whole miracle story where she really does need the prophet to help her out, but that's another story. Her own sense of modesty and humility and identifying with the kahal is here, set up as a good example. By the way, in that particular case, the Shunammite is a woman who gives Elisha, a special place to stay. He's a circuit prophet, so to speak. He travels around from one town to another, from one settlement to another. And she says to her husband, here's this holy man, and why should he always have to worry about where he's going to stay the night? Let's make a special place for him and let him be able to always know that he's got a place to stay when he comes to our town. And she creates an attic apartment for him, and that's always his special designated guest room. This is a very sensitive, special person. Right? She is a generous, caring, and unique person. Nobody else did this for Alicia. Nevertheless, she doesn't see herself as special. She doesn't see herself as doing anything extraordinary. I'm happy to dwell among my own people. I'm within them, just like everybody else. Okay. Now, Beryl, is it okay now if we go to Rabbi Yehuda?
Rabbi Yehuda opens saying, have the gates of death been revealed to you? Have you seen the gates of deep darkness? This verse was spoken by the Blessed Holy One to Job, who
Job.
This verse was spoken by the Blessed Holy One to Job when he saw Job tormenting himself over divine justice.
Years and years ago, before everybody's time here, when I was in yeshiva, so the yeshiva student newspaper did an interview with there was a security officer, unfortunately, even back then. So the headline was that they had an interview with this person, and it says, security officer explains job. Right, and my friend said, look at that, we never knew he was a Bible scholar. Right? Who could explain Job? It's amazing. Then this security guy can explain Job. Unbelievable. So yeah, it's not Job, it's Job, right? Eov. So okay, so this is from the book of Eov, and this is toward the end. And Eov, of course, has been suffering terribly, and he doesn't understand it. He feels that he doesn't deserve it, and all of his friends are coming over to him and explaining why he really does deserve it, or they're defending God in one way or another. And then God, finally appears at the end. And first of all, God is furious with all of Eob's so-called friends who are really throwing him under the bus, in the name of piety and righteousness. And he says whatever they've been saying is ridiculous. It's terrible. It's a chilul Hashem. So don't listen to anything that they said. Now, meanwhile, you have all these questions. Guess what? You're just going to have to accept the fact that you don't understand anything. You weren't there when I created the world, right? Have the gates of death been revealed to you? Do you understand life and death, the whole structure of reality? Have you seen the gates of deep darkness? You have a limited grasp of life and reality. So there's certain things you're just not going to know, right? So you're not going to understand what happened. Okay, so this is the verse spoken by the Blessed Holy One when Eov was struggling, tormenting himself over divine justice, feeling that there was an injustice that was performed to him. Let's look at now the unpacking of the verses. We'll see it. First we have a previous verse, and then we'll come back to the verse that Rabbi Yehuda cited. Come and see.
Come and see, Job said. He will slay you.
Come and see. Come and see. Okay, sit back and let's contemplate. Let's consider this thing. Job said,
he will slay me. Lo ayahel, written lo, no, with an aleph, read lo, in him, with a vav, encompassing all.
Okay, so look at the note.
He will slay me.
Yeah, 619, good.
Lo ayahel, according to the Masoretic text, the word lo is spelled lo with an aleph, meaning no, but should be read. I don't know how to read it differently.
Well, it sounds exactly the same, but with two different,
Above.
right? Lo with an aleph is no. Lo with a vav, same sound, but lo with a vav is, go ahead.
Meaning in him. The two alternative spellings yield radically different readings. C, he will slay me. I have no hope. Or
No with an aleph. No. Lo ayachel. I have no hope.
Or, though he slay me, in him will I hope.
Right. That's the
What-
one above, right? Lo ayachel. Even though God is killing me, nevertheless, I always hope in God. So these are two absolutely contradictory statements that sound exactly the same. And the question is, which one did Eov mean? According to Rabbi Yehuda,
Though he slay me, in him will I hope. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the ambiguous spelling is intentional, encompassing both contradictory declarations and reflecting Job's torment.
okay, so he's going back and forth between complete desperation and nevertheless then swinging back the other way and saying, no, I will hold on to my hope in God, my faith in God, no matter what. So he's going back and forth and back and forth. That's the torment. Okay, so that's what Eov was struggling with, and that's this verse now that Rabbi Yehuda started with, opened up with. Now is God's response. Go ahead.
The Blessed Holy One replied, am I the one who kills human beings? Have the gates of death been revealed to you? So many gates stand open on that side, controlled by death, all concealed from humanity who are unable to protect themselves from them and unaware of them. Have you seen the gates of deep darkness? Who are the gates of death? And who are the gates of deep darkness? Actually, death and deep darkness are as one, a single coupling, death, as has been said, angel of death, as has been established.
Salmavet.
Darkness.
Sail Mavet.
Shadow of death, riding upon it, its shadow and potency, coupling as one in a single nexus, becoming one.
Okay, so this is now the explanation of the verse according to Rabbi Yehuda, where God says, have the gates of death been revealed to you? Now the gates of death, says Rabbi Yehuda, are the openings that have been afforded to death to be able to function in this world, right? To be able to operate in this world. But those gates of death, says Rabbi Yehuda, should not be ascribed to God, right? Am I the one who kills human beings? Of course, the answer we would say God has given and God has taken away. Blessed be the name of God. We say that all the time. Of course, it's God who takes away human beings. But in this teaching, what God is saying is, it's not me. I'm not the one who's bringing death to people. There are gates of death. There are openings in the way the world is created that allows death to happen. It's the way of the world as it is structured. I'm not going around taking this person, not taking that person, deciding to kill that person, deciding to torment that person. That's not what my job is. That's not who I am. But I coexist, says God, with a world and in a world that has gates of death, that has these doors that open up and let death come through and do their dirty work. And who are the agents of death? So this is the angel of death, Malach HaMaves, right? Is the angel of death, right? And then there is the next part of the verse. Have you seen the gates of deep darkness, tzal mavet, not just death itself, but this is the way now Rabbi Yehuda reads it, the shadow of death. So we have that phrase, of course, we know it well from Psalm 23. Kam ki elech begeit tzal mavet, lo irara. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. So that word tzal mavet is tzel mavet. But the way that Rabbi Yehuda reads it is mavet, and then there's a shadow of death, which is not the shadow that's thrown by death. I stand, the sun shines, I throw a shadow, right? But rather the shadow is what rides upon death. Everything is reversed. Everything is actually upside down. The shadow usually is underneath the object that throws the shadow, that illuminates the shadow. Here, death is the angel of death, and the shadow is what rides death. And the riding is both a directing, taking control of death, and it's also a coupling. It's also an erotic image of the unity of the rider and the ridden. And that, of course, is the primary Samael, the primary demon of evil. So this is look 623. Look at that note, please.
Okay, let's see if I can find it.
Last note on the page.
Okay. Oh, the page that we finished. Okay. Riding upon it, its shadow and potency coupling as one. Shadowy Samael ride the serpent, Lilith, empowering her. See?
Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, go ahead.
Samael took his hand and descended and saw all the creatures created by the Blessed Holy One. He determined that the most cunning evil was the serpent. As is said, now the serpent was slyer than any creature of the field that Yud-Heh Vav-Heh Elohim had made. He, the serpent, looked like a camel, and he, Samael, mounted and rode him.
Okay, so that's the kind of mythic imagery that we have already in the Midrash, and followed through with the Zohar, and the idea, as I said, the riding is not simply riding off into the sunset, but riding is also meant to be a coupling image, and Samael and Lilith, there are the other side of Kudsha B'richu and Shechina, right? They are the opposite number of the lovers as we imagine them uniting in godly oneness. They are the dark forces of evil. So this is, again, a dualistic kind of picture of good and evil. Within each realm, there's a unity, right? Within each realm, within the divine realm, there's a unity between the lovers, and on the other side as well. Let's see how this is expanded upon. 397.
All those rungs issuing from them, linked with them, from their gates,
Form their gates.
Form their gates, as is written above. Lift up your heads, O gates, those gates being rivers and streams, 6 directions of the world. So too, there are gates on the other side, well-known rungs ruling the world, gates of death, gates of the shadow of death, 1 female, 1 male, the 2 of them as one.
Go ahead.
All this The Blessed Holy One declared to Job in response to all those words he uttered, as a cloud fades and vanishes, so whoever goes down to Sheol rises no more, and all other such words. The Blessed Holy One said, have the gates of death been revealed to you, so that you realize they are all in my power, all destined to be exterminated from the world, as is written? He will swallow up death forever.
Okay. So, yes, Beryl.
This goes back a little bit. What's the significance of the camel?
So the camel is like the line that you see when a serpent slithers around and goes like this, right?
Okay.
So it's on a flat line. It waves up and down, and then you take that as a kind of a graphic of the humps of a camel, right? And then the humps of a camel, by association, then give you the inside between the two humps where the rider can sit, right? And also that up and down gives you a kind of erotic image of sexual, copulation, and the rest is commentary. What can I tell you? So that's the association that we have, back and forth between the serpent in the Garden of Eden, the evil serpent, and the Malach HaMavet, and the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, the angel of death. They're all wrapped up together. Everything that's bad is actually all of a piece. It's all one. It's all connected. So what we have in the first paragraph here is, again, that correspondence idea. Just like goodness and life is designed to spread forth and to go out, up, down, north, east, south, west, throughout the expanse of reality, to spread and spread like light does, right? Then unfortunately we have the other side. The other side also tries to spread and has gates, openings up that flow forward and try to spread and flood the world with darkness instead of light. But then you have this last paragraph. Job says death is the final bottom line. Somebody that dies goes down to Sheol, and that's it. It's over. What a terrible, terrible, sense of finality that verse is that Job has. So he's distraught. He doesn't have, he wants to believe, he wants to have hope in God. He keeps on struggling with it, but the blunt reality of what he sees and what he's experiencing, he lost all of his children. This is, just too much. And for him, there's no response to that. So what is God's response? According to the Zohar here, what God is saying is that it's not final at all. This is not the end of the road. I will, in the end, swallow up death and make death itself disappear. So death is just a temporary reality. It's not the final reality at all. Jen, you wanted to say something? No, somebody wanted.
Well, I mean, it's a question that I don't know how relevant it is, so I apologize. But didn't, like, for most of, or a lot of the Torah, isn't this like a hope in God didn't have to do with necessarily hope in an afterlife or hope that death would be destroyed? I mean,
so again, you have here, God will swallow up death with Bila Mavis Lanetzach. That's Isaiah. So that's not exactly late. That's 2,800 years ago. But yes, if you look at the 5 books of Moses, you don't really have this kind of working out of a system that there is such a thing as an afterlife. However, then people say it really comes later. It comes at the dawn of the Hellenistic period. You have it in Daniel, where scholars notice it. But what are you going to do about that Isaiah verse? That Isaiah verse is 500 years before Daniel or more. So I'm not going to, the Zohar is absolutely not interested in that kind of historical picture.
Yeah, that's why I thought this might not.
Right. Well, the only relevance is that the Zohar doesn't buy that. The Zohar believes that this is an eternal truth and we always subscribe to it. Just like Abraham always, kept the Torah, even though the Torah hadn't been given yet, right? There's an eternal quality to this that transcends historical limitations. And to a certain extent, that's part of what the Zohar is actually saying about the defeat of death. The defeat of death is the defeat of any kind of sense of limitation on life. And history is about life going through its limitations, going through its paces, and changing from one generation to another, from one place to another, from one circumstance to another. And what the Zohar is in the end invested in is an ultimate sense of eternity that defeats change and temporal, fleetingness, the vanishing of a person down into Sheol. Ultimately, if we can get there, and we all will eventually, whether we know it or not, but it would be nicer to get there sooner, according to the Zohar. We get to a place where it ends up being not subject to these kinds of limiting historical circumstances. Larry, you wanted to say something?
Well, I wanted to ask the question: is the Zohar, or does the Kabbalah have a concept that in the Sitra Achra, in the others, the demonic side, that there's like a parallel to the Sfirot and a parallel, like a parallel demonology anyway, that's the question.
Yeah. So my answer is not going to be adequate, because just because I'm going to say what I'm going to say doesn't mean that it's not there. I'm not aware of a detailed one-to-one correspondence that's worked out between the other side and the divine. Here's the opposite of the chesed. Here's the opposite of the gvura. I'm not aware of that, but that simply could be my own ignorance. But I am aware that again and again and again and again, the Zohar is very emphatic that there is this mirror imaging, that there is this, literally two sides. And just like there's that side, so is there this side. Just like this is one, so is this is one. So your question would be the logical deduction that if that's the case, then certainly there should be a very, very clear kind of one-to-one correspondence. But I don't know where that's laid out.
Or at least maybe there's flow of some sort.
Well, but Larry's point is, when we see all of the detailed ways that we imagine the way that the flow configures itself within the divine realm, so where does it? Is there somebody somewhere that has done a similar kind of detailed configuration of the flow of the evil? So I'm not aware of it. The other thing I would just add is that there is, again, we've talked about this more than once, there are many approaches that the Zohar has to the question of how evil exists at all, and what kind of power evil has, and why does it have that kind of power. So there are many, many discussions and allusions and images that the Zohar throws out there. But one of the well, now I'm thinking of another two things. There are certain, because because it's the opposite, it therefore has certain differences in the correspondence. So one difference is that the divine is a source of energy and light and life, right? Evil is a source of death and darkness, and therefore the configuration that we have of the way that God unfolds, or the flow, like David was saying, in a certain sense doesn't really apply to the other side, because the other side is not as inherently defined in that way. The flowing that the Zohar, that the Sitra Achra, that the other side has, what we have here, these gates, these rivers that flow out, are actually, to use a different kind of image, they're and now I can't, what do you call it? What's the generic term that vampires are examples of? That they need something else to live off.
Parasites.
Parasites, that's the word. Thank you. So
they're pulling the life out.
right. So the energy that the Sitra Achra has is this negative energy. Like even when it's flowing forward out of a desperation to get life out of something because it doesn't have it. So all of the kinds of stations of energetic effulgence that we imagine, that we locate in God, that becomes sfirot, there is no corresponding effulgence of evil. There's just a desperate hunger on the part of evil to suck out the life from life.
So it might not be flowing hatred and anger. It might be flowing consumption and narcissism and taking and consuming.
Right, but the energy ends up being there out of this kind of desperate, destructive, mission. And again, the parasitism of it is a leeching. The idea that the energy it has is to be on the lookout for a victim. That's the way the Zohar, and we've had it before. That's the way the Zohar imagines the evil forces. The evil forces are waiting for you to become vulnerable. They're waiting for you to slip up. They're waiting for you to give them an opening.
This shows a weakness in evil.
It's a total lack of any positive characteristic of its own, except the positive drive to make up for its lack. To use human imagery or even political imagery, the glutton is constantly, like what David said, consuming, but not because they have this positive energy of they are consuming because they constantly feel hungry. They constantly feel unfulfilled. They constantly feel dissatisfied. When a dictator decides that they have to destroy another country, it's because they have a gaping hole within their own concept of their own people and status and station and so on. And then they put in a lot of energy into being destructive, but the energy is out of that desperation. It's out of that really, extreme, awful, sense of if I don't destroy that, I'm going to die.
It's desperation.
Very desperate, right? But also, again, the vampire, is lurking around, waiting for you to expose your neck so that they can take a bite. So, and that's where Shekhinah, the damsel in distress, when we don't act properly, we separate out Shekhinah from Kudsha Barichu, and then Shekhinah is vulnerable. Then Shekhinah becomes open to attack. And, that's the delight for the Sitra Achra, to be able to take advantage. All right. So now I would ask one question though about this. What's this doing here? This little section, that's a little bit more than an English page long, 396 to 397 from Rabbi Yehuda till this. Why is it here? How does it function in the flow? Since we're talking about flow so much, how does it function in the flow of the text? It's this literally dark meditation on evil and death, and the mystery of suffering and God's role in it. Why is it plunked here in our extensive discussion? First of all, we're in Parshat Vayetze. We're in the story of Jacob. We're in the story of Jacob leaving Lavan and going home. Where is it that where is it that we have? Why is that so?
The way she played you, better stop praying now. They have the future.
I don't know who said that. But if they can explain that a little better, that would be helpful. Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
I would guess because Jacob has to face his brother coming home, if I remember. So he's actually worried that he'll be attacked ultimately by Esau. And so this might be on his mind.
Okay, and Esau for the Zohar represents the other side, right? He is an exemplar of the other side. So that could be part of it. Okay, David.
Jacob is traveling. He's alone at night. He has to sleep out. He's in danger. He's alone. He's vulnerable.
What stage are we talking about in the story to make him feel so alone? Has he gotten to that point yet of meeting Esau? Is he almost about to meet Esau? No, right? That's going to be in the next Torah portion. So
he's about to wrestle with a demon.
Which demon?
Well, it's curious. It's really not clear who he's wrestling with Ish.
So that's next. That's the next Torah portion is what I'm saying.
One. Sorry.
We're jumping a little bit more ahead. He's going to wrestle, figuratively speaking, with Lavan. Right? He's taking his leave from Lavan. And why is he taking his leave from Lavan? So we have to recap a little bit. We have to, because that's the whole point. We need to hold on to the thread and figure and see what's been leading us to where we are. Well, take a look at the next line, and then we'll stop and hopefully regroup. What's the next line? 397 in the middle. Come and see.
Come and see. Elohim remembered Rachel. Elohim listened to her and opened her womb.
Okay, so we're not going to get into the exposition of this, but that's where we're situating it right now. Eventually, yes, he's going to meet. He's going to have to leave, but he hasn't left yet. And what's holding up his leaving?
Rachel has to be pregnant.
Is Rachel has to give birth to 2 children, but remember that he is, triggered to leave once the first child is born. He's triggered to leave because he cannot allow the second child to be born outside of the land of Israel. Right? This coming back. Remember this, because if that should happen, then the other side will be empowered to a degree that will be intolerable. We need to gather the forces of the divine array of goodness and connect it up with Shekhinah, which is the land of Israel. So we need the 12 tribes to become fulfilled in the land of Israel in order to create that coupling, in order to create that oneness against and vis-a-vis the other side. Now, what will make that? What's the cost of doing that? The cost of doing that is that when Jacob leaves, Rachel is going to be pregnant with Benjamin.
And she'll die.
He's going to make it just over the border, and then she's going to die. The gates of death, the deep, dark gates of death are hovering over this, again, very, very painful but necessary choice that Jacob has to make for the good of the world. So this is a Jobian situation again. This is, in a certain sense, totally unfair, totally unjust, totally incomprehensible. Why does it have to be this way? So it's the shadow of death that is looming over this part of the story that we have here, this kind of like little side excursus that deals with it specifically, and with this idea that it's not forever. It's not forever. All right, let's go come and see. So back to that, let's read it again.
Come and see. Elohim remembered Rachel. Elohim listened to her and opened her womb. Why two? Elohim, Elohim. One from world of the male and one from world of the female, because the matter depends on the flux of destiny.
This is again a reiteration. We had it before to explain what's going on. This is that male and female, zechira, pikida, remembering and attending to. Both of those forces are important. Both, one is the male force, the other is the female force. They have to join together. That's what's going to make it possible for Rachel to have a child. And that's the flux of destiny, which is not blind luck, which is the way it sounds like, mazala, mazel. It's just mazel, it's just dumb luck. No, mazala means the flow. Mazala means that the flow from the male to the female, that then creates that conjoining of the two and makes for life to come about. Okay, when Rachel
was aroused by this name, as is written, may Yud He Vav He, Yosef, add another son to me. Jacob knew she was worthy of completing all these tribes and would not endure in the world. So he wanted to leave, but could not. However, when Benjamin's time approached, he fled so that the house would not be completed, linked with the holy world in an alien land.
Okay, so this reviews a little bit of what we had before, but also brings up the idea that this cognition, this awareness that Jacob had starts with the birth of Joseph. And when Rachel gives this name Joseph, Yosef Hashem, Ben Acher, may God add another son to me. Jacob understands, on the one hand, this is plenitude, this is adding another life, this is completing the 12. On the other hand, he realizes that it's also the kiss of death for Rachel. And his coupling with Rachel in order to have another child is both a union together to create new life, but he realizes that every time he is trying to conceive with Rachel, he's also actually killing her. because once she does conceive, that's it, right? She will not be able to live longer. She will have that son and then die. So the mystery of the conjoining of the living and the dying is very, very, very sharply brought into Jacob's mind. Okay. This
This
accord.
accords with what is written. Elohim said to Jacob, return to the land of your fathers and your birthplace, and I will be with you. What does this mean? I will be with you. He was really telling him, until now, Rachel was with you, essence of the house. From here on, I will be with you, possessing the house with you, with 12 tribes. This accords with what is written. When I was returning from Padan, Rachel died, a lie upon me, on account of me. Because of me, this event happened. She was thrust aside, while another dweller came and took over the house because of me, to dwell with me.
So let's listen to what we just heard here. Jacob says, this all happened because of me. There's a sense here, I'm hearing a sense of sorrow, a sense of guilt, right? A sense of blaming oneself. And what's the consolation? God says, don't worry, I'm bringing you back home and I will be with you. That's meant to be a consoling. That's meant to be God making you feel better, making Jacob feel better. However, I will be with you. Rachel will no longer be with you. I will be with you. Let's go back to Job. Right? Job suffers these terrible, terrible human tragedies. And then God's response is, here I am. Right? Here I am, the inscrutable, incomprehensible, amazing, awesome presence of God. So, of course, in the book of Job, there's, they try to make a happy ending. They restore the family and so on. But can God be that comfort in lieu of the human presence that you want, that you need? And this is the question that Eov struggles with, and this is the question that the Zohar, in its piety, is not ashamed to bring it up. Is not ashamed to raise this question, and to acknowledge it, and put into the mouth of Jacob this recognition that no matter how necessary this is, it hurts. It really hurts. And Jacob will never get over it. And we know that on his deathbed, this is what he remembers. He remembers Rachel's death. So it is, nobody is more pious than the Zohar. And yet in its piety, the Zohar acknowledges here the ache of our limited sense of need. Right? When God says to Eov, to Job, who do you think you are? What, you're God? You're a human being. You have very limited capacities to grasp any of this stuff. I'm God. I get the whole picture. And the Zohar, of course, is always seeking to get as close, and as unified as possible with that amazing, infinite, all-encompassing God. But nevertheless, what it acknowledges here is, yeah, but we're really not infinite. We're finite. What are you going to do about it? It's almost, to be a little chutzpahdik, it's like saying to God, where were you when I, was, experiencing my own finitude. Do you know what it means not to understand how the sun gets, shines in the morning? Do you know what it means not to get it when things don't go your way? Here, so this is Jacob accepts. This is, he kibel alav et hadin. He accepts the judgment upon him, but it really hurts. He knows that this is what's required. He knows that the 12 tribes, the whole history of the world will depend on these 12 tribes. Right? The Zohar is very, very convinced that the unfolding of the history of the Jewish people is what the world depends on. There will be no world if the Jewish people don't grow and not just survive, but multiply and create more Torah and more God. Otherwise, there won't be a world. But in the way it plays out, there's tremendous, examples of loss and pain on the human scale, and it takes a lot of work. For Jacob, we talked about Jacob wrestling and struggling. This is the real struggling. The real struggling is that he has to struggle with accepting that this is both his destiny, that he is part actively making go forward, and that nevertheless it doesn't feel so great. What does Job say? Though he slay me, I will yet hope in him. I hold on to the hope, even though God is killing me. All right. We still have some time, so let's go to the next section, unless somebody has something to say. All right.
He said, Nokva, name your wages due from me, and I will give.
This is Lavan speaking, right? So Lavan, when he confronts Lavan and he says, I have to, now look out for myself. I have to create a family. I have to earn a living. So Lavan says, all right, what do you all bent out of shape? Whatever you want. You just say what you want and I'll come through. But the word that he uses is nokva. Nokva, name it. Set it straight. Okay, what the Zohar will now do is take that word, because nokva is written and sounds like the word nekeva. And the word nekeva is female, the feminine. Let's see what they say.
What does Nokva mean? Rabbi Yitzhak said, the wicked one said, I see that Jacob rivets his eyes upon nukve, females, or nukvai, females, nukve, females. That's
how you got the page.
yeah.
Right.
That's how I'll get him to serve me. So he said, Nokva your wages. Here is Nokva.
Nekeva.
Nekeva, a female, for your wages, just like before. And I will give. Tell me which female you've been ogling, and I will give her in exchange for your labor.
All right. So this is the crude assessment that Lavan has for Jacob, because he knows how this whole started, right? Jacob said, oh, I love your daughter Rachel. I'll work for her, please, let me just marry Rachel. And of course he turns the tables on him and he fools him and so on. So now we're 20 years later, and he figures Jacob, that's the way Jacob is. Jacob is just, running after the women. So that's how I'll pay him off. Okay, name the next woman that you would like, and I'll get her for you. This is Lavan's thinking about what Jacob's personality and values really are. So he can't imagine that Jacob is Yaakov Avinu. Okay, what does Jacob say?
Jacob replied, "Don't give me anything. Perish the thought. Whatever I did for the glory of the Holy King, not out of selfish lust. So don't give me anything, since that is not my intention. Rather, if you will do this for me." That day he removed.
Right? So what's Jacob's response? I want to just read it. It says, Vayomer Yaakov, lo titain li me'uma. Right? Do not give to me anything, even the slightest bit. Im taseh li adavar hazeh, ashuva eretzoncha eshmor. If you do this, the following for me, I will continue to pasture your flocks. So Jacob says, I'm not going to work for anything. Don't do anything for me. I don't want to have anything to do with you. Where do we have a similar encounter where somebody who, the tradition sees as a righteous person encounters a miserable SOB and has to sort of defend their integrity by saying, I don't want to benefit from you at all. Abraham and the king of Siddom. When Abraham hears that his nephew Lot has been captured in war, so he musters up a whole bunch of little militia. He goes out, he defeats all the kings that had taken the other kings captive, and the 4 kings against the 5 kings. The 4 kings are more powerful than the 5 kings. Among the 5 kings is the king of Siddom, where Lot was living, and Lot was one of the captives, so he frees his nephew. And then the king of Siddom is so grateful, he comes over to Abraham and he says, what can I give you? How can I pay you back for all the good that you've done me? Right? I'm so grateful. And what does Abraham say? Don't give me anything. I don't want anybody ever to say that I benefited from the king of Siddom, that I took anything from this, you miserable person. So Jacob is saying, I don't want to be sullied by having to deal with you. Right? Anytime you benefit from somebody, you have a debt that you owe them. Anytime you benefit from somebody, a connection is made. To a certain extent, that's what underlies our connection to God, because we are always in debt to God. God is showering down upon us every single second, our life and everything that keeps us going. We owe God all the time. Now, sometimes we don't like to owe God, but that owing establishes a bond that should be honored. So Abraham has to protect himself against being indebted to that evil man. Jacob says, whatever I'm going to do it, but not because you're going to give me something. I know who you are by now. We've been together 20 years. You're not going to be benefiting me. Just an editorial comment. One of the terrible, terrible situations we're in today is because we are so enmeshed in owing people, groups who are evil. We owe them. We depend on them. We make dealings. And then we can't extricate ourselves from that web of indebtedness. So when we have to respond forcefully and try to do something that's right and that's necessary, our hands are tied. We can't do it because we owe, because we depend. This applies, very, very tragically right now during this situation. All right. so what Jacob does is proactively, he says, what I'm going to do is I'm going to arrange it so that I will not owe you anything. We don't do that, right? We just, afterwards, we go, oh boy, look at the mess we just got ourselves into. But it was looking at us straight in the face for decades. So, how do you build a world that can minimize that kind of sense of indebtedness to evil? Big problem. All right, we're going to stop here for tonight. Yasher koach to everybody. And hopefully we'll be able to continue next time.